Hello, hello, hello. And this is the day that the Lord has made, and we're here to rejoice and be glad in it. Welcome to Hope TV. I'm E. Dewey Smith. I'm a Hope dealer here with Hope TV, and I am just ecstatic that you've tuned in to One on One today with E. Dewey Smith. It's exciting that we're in season 5, and the reviews that we're getting so far from our new programming have been phenomenal. I mean, from daily exercise show twice a day, those who can work out with the trainers for our temples and who want to get better physically. I mean, the mental health conversations, the coronavirus sessions that we're having. We have stuff, shows for children, for youth and young adults. It's called No Cap, the Forever Young for our senior and seasoned saints, and the new show that we have for Single in the City. I mean, the conversations for men, morning dew devotionals. It's just been amazing, and on and on. The political action town hall show. I mean, a cooking show 3 times a week. So it's been amazing. Those who've tuned in so far to be a part of season 5. I'm very excited. I want to thank our Hope TV team for doing an amazing job in producing this content that can be a blessing to people all over the world. And if you're watching, drop me a line and let me know the city, state, and country from whence you're viewing. We take your viewership very, very seriously here, and we work diligently to provide you with the daily dose of hope. And so if you tune in today, whether it be Apple TV, Roku, Twitch, Amazon, Fire TV, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, the edewithsmith.org website, the House of Hope Atlanta website, or the Hope TV Now website. However you're viewing, thank you so much for your viewership and just for carving out a portion of your day to spend with us here at the Hope TV. I am a chief hope dealer here, and my aim and our aim here is to provide you with a daily dose of hope. So may God bless you, may God keep you. That's our prayer. And if you're watching today through a platform that will allow you to subscribe, to like, to comment, or to share, please take advantage of that. Every time you subscribe, that's a tremendous blessing to us in terms of our social media algorithms and engagements. It helps us tremendously to help get the word out. Your likes, when you hit that like button, that not only helps us with our algorithms and our engagements, but it helps to loosen that social media algorithm so we can touch more people with the message of hope. And of course, your comments are preeminently important because it helps us to engage what you're feeling, your thoughts about the subject matter, the questions that you may ask. Incredibly helpful. So please comment. And it also helps us with our engagements and the algorithms as well. And last but not least, that share button is of paramount importance to us here because we can simply double our viewership and touch more people with the message of hope and empowerment and enlightenment just by you sharing that button. I mean, right now, if every person would share it with one person, we double the viewership today for this episode of One on One. I'm so incredibly blessed and humbled and honored to be able to bring you this episode of One on One. We've been focusing this season a lot on mental health. Some of you know I went through a very traumatic situation 5 years ago. Within 28 days, my godmother, mother, best friend from college, and sister all died within 28 days, and it put me in a real, real tough place. So here I'm the man of faith, the man of hope, who was really traumatized by those deaths, and just 5 years ago. So I've been very vocal about that. And even though we've been advocating for mental health for a long time, those personal experiences really heightened my awareness to just the need to bridge the gap between the faith community and the mental health community and emotional wellness. And so thank you for engaging us. Come on, share the like, hit that like button and share this link right now. If you're watching Facebook, YouTube, if you're watching through a platform that you can share this link, we have something that's going to be so powerful today. And you're going to thank me later, those who did not tune in last week for episode 1, season 5. So today is episode 2, season 5 of One on One. And last week we invited a powerful woman who's been working in the area of mental health for over 30 years. I mean, helping to empower women across the globe, helping to empower those who have suffered through domestic violence and a plethora of other issues. And we've been talking this month even about this whole issue of domestic violence as well. and we've highlighted that, and we've been wearing pink and purple all month, pink for breast cancer and that purple for domestic violence awareness that we just shared about with Ashley last week in that message that we shared with you from Sunday from the House of Hope. And so today we have back with us Dr. Selena Shima, who is an amazing advocate and leader in the area of mental health. Welcome back, Dr. Selena. Glad to have you with us again.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm so happy to be back. Thank you so much for inviting me again to return. I'm very sorry for your losses. I was very insensitive that I was not knowing last week. So
No, it's okay.
very sorry for your
It's
losses.
okay. No, it's okay. You helping me, and this is about the people, and so, uh, but God is good, and
God
this
is
has been
good.
very helpful, and to get us through it. So I'm even more sensitive. So as a result of what I've gone through, even more sensitive and even more practical in my
Mhm.
understanding. I think it's helped to make me a better pastor. I believe to be able to
Amen.
identify and be more empathetic. I wanna just talk about because your experiences are so vast, and you were incredibly um, kind, and you were very humble. But the things that you've been doing internationally, are I think the audience needs to know about that. So just tell us about some things that you've been doing, even in Africa, an ambassador, dual citizenship, and some of the areas that you've been empowered to help others for over 3 decades. I want to hear more about you in this as we get ready to get started. But tell us more about your experiences.
Okay. So again, my experiences began at 8 years old when I started traveling my journey through pain. My father and mother divorced, and then it carried on through life to continue to compile. And then I made my first trip to our country, which is the Cape Verde Islands in West Africa, in 2011. And there I saw so many mental health complexities. And that's why I wrote the book. I said, oh my gosh, I can't leave this, my family's country, and not leave them with a vehicle to work with on trauma because they didn't have any types of trauma training or trauma specialist. So I said, well, I'll just write them a workbook. I'll write the workbook and they'll have something to use to help these women who are the abuse was incredible. So I started writing the book, and then the publisher said, no, you got to put a little bit more into this book. So I put more in about myself, and then I created the whole idea of the emotional toxicities and how we need to emotional detox because we detox everything else and nothing seems to hold. There's not a glue to it because we don't detox emotionally. So I created this book, and I have in this book I've created the idea of emotional intruders, who are the little guys who come out, well, the things that come out and kind of bring us down, and emotional feeders who kind of feed the intruders, and toxicities is all the things that we go through in our life and that continue to go and grow. So what I did in Cape Verde, which really was the place that encouraged me tremendously because there was so much sadness, a lot of great things, but of course a lot of sadness. So I started creating a curriculum, which I created from my 5 keys, to train those who are interested in social sciences in the colleges in Cape Verde to do the work that I do, but at a lesser level, but at least to have some training. So it's a trauma training program using my 5 keys as their way of walking through helping others. And then I created what I called the Healing Hearts and Empowering Voices. Because in our country, and I say our country because I do have dual citizenship there, in our country, the women are taught not to speak, but that's not think it's just in Cape Verde. I think it's in many countries. And so I created this vehicle called Healing Hearts, Empowering Voices, where I was training before the pandemic came. I went and did 100 women in several areas of the main island. There's 10 islands in Cape Verde, and I met with 100 women and I think about 10 men, And we went through a healing process of them hearing the story, but we called it emotional abuse and not mental health because, of course, in Africa, mental health is a taboo. So we called it emotional health, and we had one woman who told her story. And we're storytellers, right? We're African, we're storytellers, and 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 so she told her story, and then everyone started telling their story. And everyone said to me, Dr. Selena, you're not going to get anything out of this. No one talks. They're not going to tell you their story. We had 100 women and 10 men tell their story. So, so I said, well, let's do this. So I wrote another curriculum for the circles so that they could have the two hosts of the circles in each community. They could have as many circles as they wanted, but at least they would have some place to go, some place to put their voice, and somebody who would, two people that would be their host, and they would have a supervising leader who would be underneath me and my team's auspices, so that we could supervise them, so that we could keep keep it safe place for them, what have you. Then the pandemic came, so now I'm going back in April. I'm doing a retreat there, but I'm also going to do the circles to continue the training. So that's one of the things I've done there. I've also become an ambassador of emotional health there, but I'm also an ambassador for Burundi, East Africa, for the Foundation Labs, and we'll be doing a summit in Washington, D.C. the end of October. It was canceled for September. We'll see if it's going to be okay for October. It's going to be on empowerment and those kinds of things as well. I do a lot of global presentations around, speaking and reclaiming your voice, really, because my voice was shut down for almost 20, 25 years. And so, and even now, sometimes I'm not so steady on my voice, but we have to use our voice. So I do a lot of speaking on reclaiming our voice. And I'm doing a lot of retreats. So I have retreats I'll be doing in New York, in St. Kitts, in Cape Verde, and Martha's Vineyard, and maybe one other place in 2022. So that's what I'm doing right now. And I'll be doing some webinars. Although I'm hoping to do more face-to-face trainings. I've also written a curriculum to train church members to help their pastors. So I know that you said you have a mental health positioning there at your church, but there's some smaller churches. I work with about maybe 5 or 6 smaller churches in New York, and working on maybe getting a frontline group of people who are in social services, who can be some frontline people. So when the pandemic really starts to unthaw and people are unthawing, they're going to need a place to stop talking and unfreeze, right? So I figured, okay, let's get them on board. Let's train them to do some of the 5 keys, not to be therapists, but to be support persons, to take some of the edge off the pastors who can't do it all, and create a really nice volume and rhythm for the church. So that's what I'm doing right now.
Have you seen more people now trying to do wills and estate planning now that we've gone through it, still going through the COVID-19 phase of our lives?
I've seen a lot more people trying to do that, to have wills, to have healthcare directives, to even to the point of having living trust. For example, a will goes through probate, so it's public knowledge. The trusts are not public knowledge, so families are really starting to take a hard look at what if I'm incapacitated.
Freedom. It's at the core of who we are. The freedom to live without fear, to jog where we please, to wear a hoodie. The freedom to breathe. Before we celebrate the freedom most Americans have, we must fight for the freedom all Americans deserve. Because all lives can't matter until Black lives matter.
You know, last week we talked about something that's very important. You talked about your own experiences and how we all live in those houses of toxicity, and how the feeders and the intruders are there to try to, to block us and stop us, and to challenge us to either fight, flight, or freeze. And you talked about, some of your own issues, and and how things can come up out of nowhere. And I asked you a question about, are we perpetually stuck in those houses of toxicity? Because because I think it's so easy to become victims. As you spoke last week about 20 years, you walked with no voice, heart not healed, and you became a victim. And so, I've seen that so much in my own ministry, and giving spiritual guidance. I try to use counselors, the word counseling, because I'm not a licensed counselor. I try to give spiritual guidance. But I've seen that whole victimization kind of mentality that just paralyzes people. And so I ask you about, are we constantly stuck in the house of toxicity? And so my question today, I want to just get your thoughts on that. How do we get out of the house of toxicity? I mean, is there any way to unlock the house so we can get out of it?
Okay. So, I mean, I don't want to leave anyone out because everyone's stuff is relative to them, right? And some people say, oh, it's not as easy as that. And I know I have 30 years of, of experience, personal and otherwise, and professional. So I understand that there's levels of this trauma, of pain, just, of sadness, of the things that we go through just as Black people in general, and what we see in front of us and what we have to deal with, and what have you. So, but I created the 5 keys, but previous to the 5 keys, I go through another system that I created, and it's called the hot waves. But the hot waves, what I'm looking at when I'm going through the system, and I'll explain the system in a moment, is I'm looking at, first we have to unlock it, right? So we have to look inside the stuff, and my curriculum helps you unlock it. It helps you list these things. It helps you figure out what the priorities are. It helps you figure out which ones you want to begin with, which ones are too hard. I also have the hot waves will look, it's really your thread of life. What really happened? What are the significance of who I am genetically? What's the significance of who I am in terms of my exposures? What were my exposures? What was I exposed to? Did I live in a war zone? Did I live in a place that was, what was I looking at as a child? What was coming in through my lens? Because it gets impacted, and it can be very significant. Just looking at domestic violence, just hearing it in your bedroom and hiding under your bed is significant. So looking at what was my thread of life, what was my exposures, what was genetically predisposed to me. My grandmother's depressed; she committed suicide. My so and so is this, and what was so knowing that we don't look at that stuff. We look at our genetics and say who's on their cousins and who whatever. And the last thing we want to look at is who is authentically me. Who's authentically me? Who am I? I know that when I was a little girl, and I still do it to this day, my daughter gets so mad at me, is I will stare and watch people. I could sit in an airport, a hospital, a bus station for days and be quiet and just watch. That's authentically me. So God gave me that gift at birth. I call it my innate gifts, and I work a lot on innate gifts. That's my innate gifts. And that's why I'm who I am today, because it was already predisposed to me. So looking at those areas of how you became who you became, and then looking at what were all the influxes that interfered with all of the stuff through the exposures or whatever it may have been, and writing them out, mapping them out, looking at them. We don't like to do that. That's too much work, Selena. I don't have that kind of time in the day. Well, then, then we'll stay stuck a little bit longer. We'll take it in small pieces, little chunks, take little chunks. So we go through that phase first. So that's part of my cleanse. So we have to unlock this stuff. If you don't unlock it, I've got people who have vaults inside of them, vaults with dead bodies laying inside of there that they will not allow to come out and breathe. And it's too painful. So sometimes you have to take it in small pieces, in small fragments. You can't just run through it and say, okay, let's merrily do this work. It'll be fun. No, it's not fun work. It's not fun. It's painful. But we have to do it to get through it, right? We've got to do it to get through it. So that's unlocking it, looking at going through a process with supports in place and going through all of that stuff that created who we are and what's in there, what does live in there. And many people say, well, I didn't have a whole lot of stuff happen to me. But then all of a sudden they'll think like, oh my gosh, but they used to bully me when I was a kid because I was so skinny. Or because how many of our Black children, my daughter's one of them, she's a physician right now in California, but she still has a hard time when somebody asks her about her hair. Do you wash your hair every day? That's what they used to ask her in the school here in Martha's Vineyard. So she's traumatized by that. So don't think that nothing has happened. If it affects you, we need to deal with it. So looking at that part, looking at what is the core to what bothers me. What is the core to what doesn't allow me to sleep at night? What is the core that interferes in my day? What is the core that brings about these images and these intrusions, these memories that I try to push away and brush away? What is the core? From a little red bike being stolen to your your soul being ripped out of you. So what was the core? And let's look inside that core. And let's see what they are. Let's list them, label them, and not fear them. Because inside the core is the truth. So when we get into the core, we look at the realities in there. What's the reality? What was the reality of that situation you said happened when you were 16 years old, Selena? Oh, you've been blaming yourself for that, haven't you? That wasn't your fault. Look what happened. This is the true story. Let's write the true story. Not your made-up version, not your distorted version. Then when you get to the core, then you start to the reality, then you start to say, what's the truths in that? And then you look at your accountability, what could have been different for you, but you never asked for that to happen. You were never there for that. So the truths come, and all of a sudden there might be an aha moment. But then you got to go through other work. We got to go through somatic work because now your body's going to tell you the story. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. It's not even 1 hour a week. It's a lot of work. So then when we get to unlocking everything, we start unlocking a few things. Then we move over to unveil. Now we unveil them. Okay, look what we got here. Look what's under this picture. Let's lift it up. Let's put the veil back. Let's look at it. And let's play the video. Okay, start the video. Let's see what's playing. Oh my God, I was just a little girl. Oh my gosh, I was just a little boy. Oh my gosh, I didn't even mean to be there. Or why did that happen? Or whose fault? That wasn't even, whatever comes, you start unveiling, you start seeing the realities and the truth start giving you another new meaning, right? You start creating a new you, a new meaning, you start feeling some shifts going on. You start, wow, I've been carrying this all this time. No wonder I get mad when I see this or something that when I see that it triggers me. Now those triggers start to fall down. Everything doesn't go away. It's a long process. It's a lifelong journey. I mean, I still have stuff that comes in. And then when we get through the unveiling and we go through that process, then we move over to the unleashing. Now, where are we going to let go of this? What's going to be let go of it? We're going to let go of this, this, and this. So then they go to the tree of authenticity. I have a part of my hot waves. We have a tree of authenticity. On this tree of authenticity, we're going to map all the things that we feel are authentically us. Now, you know what? How many times have we looked at what is our authenticity? Who am I? Everybody knows what I did wrong, what I didn't say, what I didn't say. Even my high school yearbook I'm going to my high school reunion next week, and everybody says, Selena, you did better than all of us. I said, yeah, and I thank all of you.
Wow.
I said, oh. I said, thank all of you, because adversity moved me forward. I found out that my authentic self is that I use adverse challenges to make myself better. That's authentically me. I like that. So it's on my tree of authenticity. On my tree of authenticity is on the other side of the tree is things that aren't really authentically me, but I'm going to carry them because they helped me. So my stepmother hated me. She didn't like me because I was my father's only child, and he loved me, and she didn't like that. And she told my father I would grow up to be nothing and nobody, and nothing, and he'll never see anything good come out of me. So I went and got a doctorate. And I said to her, when I got my doctorate, I said, I got my doctorate. And trust me, I didn't start college until I was in my late 20s, so I didn't think I was good enough. I got my doctorate. And she said, that was just by luck. But I put that on my tree of authenticity. People who I love are people who motivate me by the people who try to pull me away from the people that I love and make me look like something different. I wanted my father to love me, not see me through her eyes, but through my actions. So I became actionable. That became another authentic, that's who I am. I'm an action-oriented person. I'm not the smartest person in the world. I'm not the most prolific person in the world, but I'm an action-oriented person and I'll get it done because I made the commitment. So you find these things out about yourself and then all the things that on the roots of the tree are all the things of your resilience. How did you make it through all that, Selena? How did you get through that 8 years to 20, almost 30? I had my daughter late in life. How did you make it through all that time? And I started looking at my roots. My grandmother, she used to sing, she never spoke English, but she would sing songs to me in our language and cook me the best French fries in the world. What's my comfort food right now? French fries. So, I looked at my roots and all my resilience and all the things that glued me to my father's love, his commitment to me. When I wrote this book, I found out that I thought I thought he chose my stepmother. But when she told him he was going to leave, she was going to leave him because I was moving in and going to come to high school here in the Vineyard. She said she was leaving. My father said, well, then I guess you're going to go. Well, I didn't realize that until 2017 when I wrote this book. I said, oh my gosh, that was transforming. My father chose me. So see what comes out of this? If we just do the work. And then we go through my 5 keys. Go ahead.
So let's slow down. My goodness.
Okay.
So there has to be an unlocking, the unveiling, and the unleashing to get you to the tree of authenticity. That is so good. And the unblocking could be the most painful part. Unlocking.
The most painful part.
So when it's time for the person who may be watching, who they're not ready to totally unlock, do we just wait until they're ready? Because I know you can't force anybody. Are there any clues? Are there any steps to becoming more comfortable with the unlocking?
Trusting. This is all, I don't need to say this to you, and I'm not preaching because I'm not a preacher, but it's all about having faith in God. It's all, I mean, I'm telling you in my heart of hearts, not because I'm talking to you, Pastor, but it was, I was, the devil had my bed shaking when I started reading the Bible back in,
Mm.
must have been 1984 when I was trying to come through all of this, 85. But it's about having faith. And when I kept on doing this, going up and down with God, and he finally took my hand and said, come on. I wanted to get rid of it. I didn't have all the answers then. I didn't even know what to do. And I was too embarrassed to really tell anyone. But I really just wanted to have faith that God would help me get through this and find the right way for me to enter and go through this journey. So when you don't have the answer and you're too afraid, one thing you have to remember, it wasn't your fault. Second thing you have to remember is that God's got your back. The third thing you have to remember is that you got to do something. You got to do something. So if it was somebody that took your bike or somebody that used to call you Skinny Minnie at school or whatever it might be, start there. Just start there. Start with something simple and easy. If it's just about a pain you have in your heart and you don't know how to get through it, explore it. Don't even tell your story. We all have a story to tell. And it's through those stories that we get our healing and we find the answers. So take it at your pace. Your body will tell you. Your body will tell you what's going on. So remember, there's lots of avenues that you can reach out to.
Today, we're going to be talking about vaccines and masking.
So one of the things we learned pretty quickly was, hey, masking can prevent the virus. Having the ability to wear a mask, distance yourself, because the virus is mainly a droplet virus. And when we speak, even though we don't know it, we are always spewing little bits of particles from our mouths. My job today is to find out from our audience, what is the reason for you not taking a vaccine that will prevent the virus?
This is the story of a boy who was very sensitive to lights and sounds. So he built secret hiding places where nothing could get in. The boy didn't like looking people in the eye. It made him feel uncomfortable. One day, he found out he had something called autism. His family got him help. And slowly, he learned how to live with it better.
Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org.
What's up, y'all? It's your boy Jermaine, Dolly, Mr. Hello, Dolly himself. And guess what? You're tuned in to Tea and Worship with my homies, Mignon and Corey. Keep it locked, y'all.
Hey, y'all, it's Candy West, and you're watching Tea and Worship with Mignon and Corey.
It's your boy James Fortune, and you are watching my favorite news show, Tea and Worship, with my sis Mignon and Corey.
You know, you mentioned something last week that has intrigued me all week. The whole, and that's why we theme these shows, emotional detox. I just, going through a physical detox and 48-hour detox, flush my system, my body. But this whole emotional detox piece, you developed a whole curriculum of 5 keys for emotional detox. I want to hear, and it's in your book as well. Can you elaborate on that? What are the 5 keys to emotional detox? Why is it necessary, and what are the steps?
Okay. So before we go through any detox, we have to go through the preliminary cleanse. So that's my hot waves. That's the unlock, unveil, unleash. You got to go through something. You can't go through an emotional detox. Okay, I'm ready. Let's go. What do I do next? No, because nothing's there. You got to do the work first. So that's how I start even with my retreats. People will have to do this before they come to the retreat. At least get it started. Then they move into the keys. So the keys has some more work, preliminary work, and it makes you write your global story. And your global story is all about you. What's your global life about? Who are you? You know, what happened, and we'll see what they say. So they write their global story, and then they enter into the first key, because now they've done a lot of the cleansing, right? The first key is cleanse. So now they've done a lot of their cleansing. They've done a lot of actually recognizing, right? And things are probably really brewing in there. You know, I've done these talks with other groups, and without even going through the keys, just explaining the keys, and people were going through their, like we call abreactions of, oh my God, I just remembered that this happened to me here, and they were crying, and we hadn't even got to. So there's so much there. It's going to come out. So you go through your cleanse. So the first key is cleanse. So you go through. There's a whole series of things you have to go through. In the book, it's based on a kind of a Gestalt way that I've written the book. It's action oriented. So you're doing a movie. Your life is through a movie, a video, and it also has some EMDR work through it. I do some EMDR for trauma, and so you're looking at where's your body, what's going on with your body, what level of subjective feelings are you in right now, so we can get that down. So there's work that goes on through the work. And so once you get through that whole phase of the cleanse, which you've done a lot of previous, then we move into restore. So now we've gotten rid of the stuff. Now what are we going to do with it? You know, we got rid of some stuff. There's probably a lot more stuff to go through and get through, but now we got to start restoring some stuff. We can't leave you empty, right? So let's start putting in the other pictures. Let's start looking at forgiveness. Let's look at, is there anything that maybe we need to forgive? Let's look at healing. What do I need to heal from? And let's just start looking at that. Just healing and forgiveness. Go ahead.
Let me ask you this. So the healing and forgiveness would be a part of the restoring and not necessarily the cleansing.
No, it's part of restoring. The cleansing is getting it out. It's cleaning up the house, getting all the furniture out the house. And because a lot of the stuff that's in the house doesn't need to be there. Some of it needs to go to the trash. Some of it needs to be refurbished. And some of it really needs to stay because it really authentically belongs in the house. And then we go to, okay, now what do I do next? So there might be some grieving that might need to go on, so that we do that through forgiving, right? Some grieving that I had to get rid of that old stuff, you know. I had to get, whatever. So we go, what do I forgive? Am I ready for forgiveness yet? If I was ready for forgiveness, what would I forgive? And maybe I'll just start with myself. What can I forgive about this whole list of things that I have here? What should I start forgiving there? Even if you haven't gotten through the whole list yet. What can I forgive about that? What realities and truths did I unveil that I could probably unleash through forgiveness? If I can't unleash them and let them go to the sky, I can release them through forgiveness. And how do I heal through this? So what do I need to take from all that I got in the cleanse and all that I listed in my pre-work? What is it that I need to heal from? Well, I still feel like I need to get some more healing over here. So let's work through that. So there's a whole bunch of workbook pages for that, for the restore. So after the restoration, and we also use this restoration. We're doing a retreat in November, with a pastor retreat. Meet me at the sanctuary in New Jersey, with the pastors around the New York, New Jersey area. And we do the 23rd Psalm. And so restoration is part of that, the 23rd Psalm. So we use my key for that as well. So then we go to clarity. So now you've kind of looked at, you've gotten through all that muck and stuck and got rid of it and unleashed and maybe forgiven and healed. So now you get some clarity, right? Now you can kind of, you know what? I can see through that. You know what? I don't even need to bring this one through the cleanse because I already see through that. So let's see what you see. Let's see what you see through that. Let's really look at what do you see through that. I see blah, 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 blah. And then let's look at your suds. Is your subjective going down? What's your emotions telling you? What's your body telling you? So we look at all of that. We go through each area. And what's the wisdom? Because clarity is wisdom. Because when you can clear out some of that junk, you can only get more forethought, more clarity, more ability to think things through. And guess what you've done to your brain now? Now your executive function, your frontal lobe, is now saying, ooh, I can see again. I can make decisions again. I can be organized again. And other parts of the brain that were on dim because you were living in so much toxicity. So you get clarity. And the clarity is about developing wisdom. That's what my key is meant for it to do. Developing the correct thought, the framework, the pure thoughts about what's going on. The key that I love the most is the fourth key. It's called rejuvenation. Rejuvenation is, and I wrote this way before I wrote the book, this whole idea. I wrote a curriculum called Bridging Passions with Mishaps. So when you, I wrote this a long time ago. My staff used to always say to me, you're always writing something and you don't use it. I said, but it's going to be used one day. And it was used here in rejuvenation because we got to understand the pain to the purpose, right? Bridging passions with mishaps. God said to me, girl, I'm bringing you through all these lessons back here. I know they're painful. I know that you're having a hard time. You're not understanding why, because you were a good girl. And all of a sudden this started happening. It just changed and shifted. Those emotional intruders came in and shifted who you are, changing into somebody you don't even know. And you've got so much toxicity living in you now, and you keep on compounding it because you don't know how to get out of it, and there's nobody to help you figure it out. But it's okay. These are your lessons. These are your lessons. These are what's going to take you to your passions. You know that passion you have? That authentic you? That watching people? Watch what I do with you. I came through. I didn't even go from 4th to 8th grade. I didn't go to school. I don't even know how I have memory of anything. I had to reteach myself when I got to high school. So God, it's amazing, right? It's amazing what our innate gifts hold for us. A lot of people get to the point in their life like, I'll never do anything. I can't get anywhere. Let me tell you my story because it's a whole different look than what I look like right now. Let me tell you that. So passions, bridging passions with mishaps. They came across that bridge and they kept coming. And by the time I was in my 30s, they kissed, they embraced, and they held each other and created the person I am today through my rejuvenation. My God, my God. That's the gift that's waiting for you. That's the gift that's waiting for you. We all have it. It was given to us way before we were born. We all have it. We just got to fight to receive it, to believe, to have faith, to keep moving forward, to find our way into the truth and into the honesties, into the purities of our hearts. And find it and fight for it. Don't let it live inside. I always say, why do we protect those that hurt us? Why do we protect them? They're living inside of us. They're making all these things happen. Why do we gotta get rid of them? We gotta get rid of those intruders. So that's rejuvenation. It's the largest portion of the book, of the curriculum. Because through rejuvenation, you're going to find transformation. jubilation. You're going to find it. It's going to come. Because now you've gotten clarity. You've restored things. You've gotten more wisdom in your mind. You've got more way to think things through. Your brain's opening up. You've let go some of that stuff. Your amygdala is being like rethought through. The hippocampus is saying, oh, there's some good memories coming in. We can soften all those bad memories we've been holding on to. Listen, it's a whole system we're working here. It's not just one little piece. It's not a story. It's a whole system. We got to work the whole system. The last piece is transformation. Change. Change comes. You make it happen. You're the architect of that. And that's my 5 keys.
This is absolutely mind-blowing, so powerful, so empowering, and I just want to thank you. I mean, I didn't know. I knew you were amazing, and I just, it's so important that we destigmatize this whole concept of mental and emotional health. And unfortunately, sometimes in the church, we either over spiritualize or demonize things. And our over spiritualization and demonization of certain things about our lives have prevented us from really understanding the unlocking and the unveiling and the unleashing and the cleansing. And so to hear today, I mean, as you were talking, I just could, the whole passage in the Gospels, Jesus tells a story of a man who had demons, and the first thing that happened, he had to get clean first, and then he comes back to restore, to put something in the empty house. So it's like, as you were talking, it's like I just could see those steps over and over.
Wow.
In so much that, I mean, everything that you just said, that I can bring from a somatic perspective to marry what you've done clinically in your work even from a biblical perspective. You give me my points for my next series that I think, that I think can help people be empowered. And I just want to thank you. And I definitely need you to come back this season. I mean, I only have 6-8 shows the whole season, and we've spent 2 together. But I just got to get on your schedule again, because particularly as we get ready to go into the holidays, and we found our experiences, that's a difficult time for people who've faced loss and grief, and so to have this conversation again, and even this conversation on domestic violence, this month, that those persons who are facing that type of abuse, and sometimes the church has even spiritualized, made domestic violence a cross, and made women feel that it's just their cross to bear, and just endure it and not get out of those situations. So even the steps that you just used there were just very, very powerful. How can we, if somebody wants to talk further with you, to do a virtual session with you, is that possible? Can somebody reach out to you to do a one-on-one with you? Do you have those availabilities?
Yes, I do. And they can email me, which is emotionalhealth@drselinaoneness.com. So that's emotionalhealth@drselinaoneness.com. And my webpage is drselinaoneness.com. And on Facebook and other
tell us
social
about the
media.
book, drselinaoneness.com. Tell us about the book, the name of the book, and how can we order the book again?
So it's 5 Keys to Emotional Oneness, the Emotional Detox System. And it's on Amazon. It's an international bestseller, and it's on Amazon. The curriculums are not published yet. They're complete, but I haven't decided if I'm going to publish them or not.
So did you include the unlocking and the unveiling and the unleashing? Is that a part of the book?
That's part of the Heart Waves curriculum, which I'm not.
Okay.
Yeah, and those are workbooks. Like when I do my next retreat is scheduled right now for April 4th to the 18th in Cape Verde, And I think the next one after that will be, well, we're doing one in New Jersey with the pastors. That's November 14th, I believe. And they'll do one in St. Kitts in June. I haven't set the date yet. And then there'll be one on Martha's Vineyard probably in probably September when the summer
So
sun
will you
comes
have all the
up.
dates? So
I
will you include
will. We're
all the
working
dates
on
on?
that now. It'll be on my website.
So, so if there are any pastors or local denominational groups who, you know, are looking to bring you in, you are open to coming in to provide those types of workshops and forums to churches, right?
Oh, yes. You know, I think that's what I think that was my restoration was God said, we're going to restore you, Selena, because you got to work with these pastors. This is my most comfortable place of presenting along with the people who's lost their voice. So pastors and voiceless are my, I don't know how they connect, but they're my two populations that I love the most.
Well, I just want to thank you for sharing. This has been an amazing way to open season 5 on Hope TV, particularly with one-on-one session. I can't wait to get into the book. I'm going to read it. Expeditiously, because I'm doing a series, you know, in November. I'm going to do a series on emotional detox. And so, I was already planning to do something totally different, but I've been convicted and charged. And of course, I'm going to use your book as a part of the, you know, my research and for my presentations for the next several weeks. So I just want to thank you for inspiring me.
Thank you.
It's been amazing.
And I
So,
might be
Pam, you've been watching.
I'm
Go ahead.
sorry? I said, and I might be in Atlanta in December because my family, I have a lot of family that I might go spend the holiday with. So I'll be close by.
Well, I look forward to meeting you when you get here and just reciprocating some blessings and show you some Southern hospitality when you arrive. And I also got to send something to Ken Lewis to thank him for making this connection. Family, you've been watching Dr. Selima Shimo today, and who is an amazing ambassador of mental health and empowerment and emotional wellness and emotional health, mental health. And we've just been encouraged. I mean, incredibly so. And I hope you've been inspired to go and do the work, you know, or to help somebody else to do the work, you know, with the unlocking and with the unveiling, with the unleashing and with the cleansing, you know, with the all the different processes, you know, of the recovery and, you know, and things she talked about and the rejuvenation and the clarity and the transformation. These things are available to us. And Jesus asked the man in the Gospel of St. John, in St. John chapter 8, wilt thou be made whole? And so the opportunity was on him. He came with all these other excuses as to why he couldn't get the healing at the pool of Bethesda. And so the question I want to ask us today, in light of this great physician, Dr. Selima, who's presented us opportunities for recovery and for transformation. My question to each of us today is, wilt thou be made whole? And if thou like to be made whole, we certainly have options, and certainly there's some resources that are available. Our information is on the screen, the website. The book is on Amazon. And so I want you to avail yourselves of this to be empowered. And I want you to know that no matter what you're facing, God is greater, and nothing can separate you from the love of God. So you've been watching One-on-One again with E. Dewey Smith and Dr. Selena. I hope you've been inspired and encouraged. No matter what you face, God loves you and has a great plan for your life. So you take care of
Thank you so
yourselves.
much. Thank
Be
you.
encouraged. Keep your head up. And always remember this: if you be good to God, God will be more than good to you. I love you, my family. Until
Amen.
next time, peace and love to you.
you.